Hi guys, it's Miss Russell. I am ready to show you week 4's project. Remember, this is a 2-part project, so what we do today, save so that you can finish it next time. Today's project, we will simply have a black and white drawing finished, and then next week we'll talk about adding color to it. Don't skip ahead, don't try and do this week. Wait for instructions. Let me set this up. Let's see. I'm trying out my own version of a document camera. See if I can get a little more zoomed in on my videos. So, our project for today, I want you to choose a reptile. Some kind of reptile to draw. No, you don't have to draw a turtle. But your reptile needs to have legs. So no snakes. You need to go a little more complicated. There's lots of how to draw videos out there for any of these creatures. You decide what you're going to make. But what you'll need is a white piece of paper and a pencil eraser. Then you'll want to find either a black crayon or colored pencil or marker. You decide. Any of those things will work. I'm going to draw with a black marker so that you can see what I'm doing, but I want you to draw with a pencil, then trace it over so that if you make mistakes, you'll still be able to erase them. My original drawing that I just showed you was of a turtle, but I'm going to do some kind of lizard with you today. You don't have to draw what I draw, but do watch so that you understand what I'm needing you to draw. So for my lizard, I'm gonna start with the lizard's head, and they kind of have almost like a snake-like head. So I'm gonna come in here and create the head of my lizard, and then it comes down, and he has a little bit of his body, and then his tail. And I think I'm gonna curve his tail. And then I come back and add some eyes on him. Little nostrils if you want. You don't have to. And some legs. I like to do bent legs. They're a little more interesting than if you did straight legs. So I'll come through here and draw the top of the leg and then bend it down and then add his fun little foot. Like an L almost sideways. Doesn't need to be perfect, just a creature. I really just want you guys to draw. It's okay if your drawings aren't perfect. That's definitely not perfect, but it's fun. Now that I have my reptile, look that up. Make sure you draw one. The next thing I want to do is divide up the space around the reptile. I'm not going to add a scenery. I want to divide it up. So if you look at my turtle, what I did first was to draw just some wavy lines coming from the turtle. Maybe for my lizard, I'll divide the space. Maybe I'll go diagonal. So I'm going to start by drawing a diagonal line from corner to corner that goes behind him. And then I'll continue and add some more. You can always use a ruler if you want to add these. I'm just going for it. So now my space is divided up. And the next thing I want to do is to add some interest by making some lines thicker than others. So for example, when you look at my background here where I've got this thick, but that one's thin, and it kind of does almost a little pattern. And look at the turtle where I've thickened some lines up, but left some others thin. So I'll start with the lizard, and I think the outside of his head. I'm going to thicken up. I'm going to draw an extra line here, and then I'm going to come back through and fill it in. It almost reshaped his head. Take your time. Now I'm going to leave his neck area thin, but then down here, I'm going to make it come a little thicker around his belly. And of course, take your time, fill that in. I'm not going to fill mine completely in on camera. I'll do that when the camera's off because I don't want my video to be super long that you're trying to create your own. So all this I'll color in. Maybe I'll come down to the tip of his tail and add a little bit extra down there. And once again, take your time, fill that in. Now his body, I want to divide up a bit also. Now with the turtle, it was pretty easy to divide up their body since their shell has all those plates. That's what these are called, they're plates, and they grow with the turtle. The lizard, I'm gonna need to come up with some kind of design. So maybe I'll start by imitating his body shape with this oval that he already has, and then I'll come back through and add. And I'll come back to the tail, and maybe I'll take some lines down the tail. This is going to help us when we start adding our patterns that we'll add next week. Don't add them today, just focus on creating your drawing, your black and white drawing. And I'll go ahead and fill his eyes in. My background still needs a little more dividing up also. I think for my background, I'm going to use this triangle, almost will sort of create almost a chevron pattern when I'm done with it. It's hard to get my hand inside this box. Now that the space is divided up, once again, I'm going to want to thicken some areas and leave some thin. So like what I did on this one, where every other line was thick, thick, thin, thin, thick, and it just kind of created. I'll do that with these triangle type shapes. So I'll come back through, I'll add another triangle beside it if my paper stays still, and then I'll take my time and I'll fill it in, color it in also. So I'll do it every other one. So if that one's thick, then this one will be thin, and it'll just keep going. I'm also going to do that with my lines, my diagonal lines. So this one over here, make sure it's in the screen. This one I'll thicken up, and then I'll leave this one thin, and I'll thicken up, and it'll just create a pattern. So take your time, use either black marker, black crayon, or colored pencil, and create a black and white design that shows a reptile and has thick and thin lines of interest. Next week, I'll talk to you about the coloring. Don't skip ahead because you're going to miss some of the requirements if you aren't paying close attention. So don't skip ahead to the color, stick with the black and white. Show me your work on Artsonia. I have been working on the links and they seem to be working. You'll find a link on our Google Classroom that allows you to send your work straight to Artsonia. If you can zoom in on your project, I'd really like to see your projects just a little closer. Thank you guys for creating with me. I look forward to seeing your work. Have a great week.